Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Business Growth Show, where we talk about all components of business and how to utilize them for exponential growth. My name is Athin Cassiotis. I'm a serial entrepreneur, international speaker, results strategist, business coach, mentor, and consultant. After over 14 years of being in business and running multiple companies, I felt called to start this show. I see many people struggling to start or grow a business, which is why I want to help entrepreneurs achieve success in business quicker, more effectively, and sustainably. Today, I have an awesome guest. He's a serial entrepreneur, international speaker, real estate investor, and real estate coach. He is the master at analyzing real estate deals, knowing his numbers, delivering on the enhancements, and ensuring is it a win-win situation for everyone. Welcome, Paul Kazanofski, and thank you for being on my show.
Oh, buddy, it's always so good to see. Are you Greek? Are you a Greek lad?
I am Greek, yes.
I love the Greeks. Moussaka. Moussaka. One of my favorite Greek dishes is moussaka. Souvlaki. You know, I'm Macedonian, not too far from the Greek area there, but former Yugoslavia. So it's always good to be here on your show. I love your show. I actually watch your show. A lot of great content, a lot of great guests. I mean, you're always pulling in the good guests, so it's always exciting to be here, buddy.
Yeah, definitely awesome. So awesome to have you here as well, Paulie. You know, it's I love it. I definitely love Greek food as well, and yeah, we're very close there in that region. And you know, Alexander the Great is something we sort of have in common, and there's a lot of good history in Europe back in those days. So I love it all, and yeah, I'm sure it's going to be an amazing show as well today for everyone. So you're a very successful entrepreneur. So for those people who don't know who you are, please introduce yourself by telling us about you and your journey.
Well, listen, I kind of come up a little different than most entrepreneurs. I mean, we all have a sob story, so to speak. Mine is, I grew up in very, very humble beginnings. My mom and dad got a divorce when I was 4 years old, and I was dyslexic, so I didn't learn like the most of the kids in my school. So my mom was always worried, like, what's this kid gonna do? Like, he's struggling with school. And the European parents, you're Greek, you understand, when they really dwell on, like, you better do good in school, you better do good in school. Problem is I wasn't a school kid. And, I'm not saying I didn't go and I didn't try. I always tried. I gave it my best. I was good. I was a good athlete. So, I liked going to school because we could do athletics and all that stuff. But when it came to just the regular learning, it wasn't for me. But at a young age, I always had this kind of personality that was outgoing. And people used to always say to me, they're like, man, your personality and you're going to be something one day. Maybe you're going to be an actor or something, And it was funny because to me, I was like, yeah, whatever. I live in the ghetto. People don't become actors from here. But as I got older, I started realizing I became a good boxer. I was a boxer, and I started playing drums. So I started really honing in on that. While everybody was doing their schoolwork, I actually was really concentrating on that part of my life. And as I got better, I started dreaming, well, maybe I could get out of this area with using either physicality, like my boxing skills, or my musician skills. And I left when I was 19 years old. I left that area and I moved to California illegally because I grew up in Canada, in Montreal, a place called Point St. Charles. And I moved illegally here, and all my friends are like, what are you, crazy? You're going to be back, this and that. But I don't think they had the passion and the stick-to-itiveness that I always had. I never did drugs. I never drank. I never smoked. I always was, like I said, an athlete, and I was very serious about what I was good at. Even though I wasn't good at school, I was good at other things. So I came to California, and I just tried my best to make it in music and for boxing. And in between there, I met a guy that owned an audio shop, And he loved my personality. He's like, dude, you got what it takes. I didn't know, because nobody in my neighborhood were business people. Everybody there was on welfare and on food stamps, and they were on drugs and drinking and all of that. So this guy was telling me, he goes, Paulie, you have something special. And my whole life I heard that, but I also had a mom who said I was dumb. You'll never amount to nothing. Teachers would say you're not going to amount to nothing. So I was kind of puzzled. And the reason why I share this story is because there's a lot of kids like me, especially entrepreneurs. We're not like everybody. And so this guy saw this talent in me, and he gave me a chance to be a sales guy for his company. And I became the #1 sales guy in less than 6 months. I broke every record. I saved all my money as the other sales guys would go out and chase women and drink and go hang out. I just saved my money. And then one day he came in and talked to me and told me he was closing down the shop and moving back east to New York in the Jersey area. And I said, well, I want to buy this. I want to buy this concept from you. And he sold it to me. He didn't think I had the money, but I had the money. And I literally was only 19 and a half years old when I did this. And I had saved all my money. And so I took over the company, and I made it better. I just made it better. I don't know how I did it, but my energy, I started teaching people how to sell better. I worked with people. I empowered people. I started bringing in speakers to talk to my people, like positive, motivational type people, and I would pay them. And I started realizing, man, there's a fit here. There's a good fit here. And I just grew that business, and I went from having one office to 7 offices around the country, and mostly in the west part of United States, like Spokane, Washington, Sacramento. We started out in like the Southern California, but we just kind of branched around that whole region, and we were doing really well. And I was making so much money, and I'm like, what the hell do I do with this money? I don't drink, I don't go out, I don't do anything. All I do is go to the gym and I play my drums and stuff like that. And I started investing in real estate. It was something that I really was passionate about very early. And I started learning. One of my uncles was a real estate guy, so I worked for him on the weekends for free to learn the construction and all the things, the nuts and bolts. And he was an old school guy, but everybody loved my uncle. He was, a hard worker, and he treated people good. And I learned so much from him. And that's kind of my journey. And then I grew from there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's an amazing story, Paulie. And it's interesting that, the people that are more of the natural entrepreneurs are the ones that are not natural at the normal way of doing things. And, I can definitely resonate with that story of yours. It's an amazing story with all of that. And like, I didn't finish school myself, so I can, when we're a bit different, we don't necessarily conform to the normal ways of doing things. So I really love that. That background that you shared there, just to give everyone. And when you did something quite young, like I started work when I was 18 as well, and was doing some big things in a company. And, I think age is only a number. When you've got that drive and that passion, like you said, it doesn't matter what it is. You just need to be open to the opportunity, take the opportunity on, and everything like that.
I just created, like, no one, it was so funny, because when I first came to California, I told people, I'm like, look, I'm going to either make it as a fighter, a boxer, or I'm going to do it in drumming. I'm going to get in a band. And I tried both of those. And to be honest with you, I've done very well in those two fields. Very, very well. Actually, surprisingly well. But I never knew I was going to be an entrepreneur, because I didn't have mentors, or I didn't have anybody to look up to until I came to California. And I always tell people, I'm like, look, if you have a dream, just go out and chase your dream. You might fall into another dream that you didn't even know you had. I didn't know I was a good sales guy. I never sold before. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. But in a way, my personality and my outgoing personality, and I learned really fast outside of like books. I was very good, like when physicality or drumming or something that I enjoyed, passion, I got good at it. And that's what happened with sales, because I found something that I was like, man, you know, like I'm actually pretty good at this stuff. And so I started learning more, and I started listening to tapes. You know, back then they had the little cassette tapes, and I would listen to the cassette tapes, and I would learn and listen to people's journey. And I would get so enamored with their journey. And I was like, man, one day that's going to be me. That journey, I'm going to be able to share that story with people. And people always ask me, why are you so giving in the way you share your story and help people? That's why, because no one really, like, I had to learn my own journey. So I always said, if I ever make it, I'm going to give that, my journey, my passion, and my skills to other people around me and give them hope, you know? So crazy, man.
Yeah, I love it, Paulie. You definitely have an infectious energy and everything about you. So I really do love it. And
Thank you.
and you know, like you do real estate deals, you know, all over the US now, right? You're very big in real estate and everything like that. So can you let everybody know a little bit more about, I guess, the areas you've completed recent deals in, and like maybe approximately how many deals you've done and everything like that in total?
I've done 429 flips where I actually bought them, flipped them, documented too, documented, not some guy in a suit telling you I did it. And then I've done 162 wholesale deals. Those are just basically where I got them under contract and just sold them to somebody else. And I made a small check in between, anywhere from $5,000 to $30,000 in between there, just fast flips. But I also build, you know, and I most of the stuff that we do is out in Nashville, Tennessee, where I live now. But I've done deals all over, and it's because I have either students that I've helped create their knowledge so that they'll bring me deals and we'll do deals together, or I also have a person here, which I'm actually in Florida right now. How ironic. And I'm literally building 3 houses here, and we're flipping 3 houses here. So we got a lot. We got a lot to build. It's 200 feet from the sand and the ocean. So that one's gonna be like one of those high-end ones. But to be honest with you, typically I don't flip high-end properties. I flip things that are under $500,000. And even the other 2 builds, we bought a house and there's land that comes with it, and we could build 2 houses. And in that area, the houses might be worth $350,000, the new home builds. So it all varies. And the more you do, the more people you empower, the more people you teach, the more people that work for you, and then you build them to be your project manager. My project manager literally moved out here and now runs the whole Florida operation. So it's about relationships, it's about empowering, and then raising the money to do the deals. And that's kind of how I was able to do deals all over the place. Kentucky is only a couple hours from my home, so there's a lot of opportunity there. So I've been doing apartment buildings there, where we just flipped an apartment building and made a substantial amount. Me and JT, who, as everybody knows, is my coach. He's been my coach for 9.5 years. So, you know, we're doing those type of things, and we're growing all the time. We're helping people, and the more we help, it seems like it comes back to us. So that's, in a nutshell, kind of how we kind of spread out in the whole area, so to speak.
Yeah, it's amazing, Paulie. And, you know, I've been following, you know, your journey with JT. In between years, you've probably done over 1,000 property deals, you know, and everything like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and and you're doing deals currently. I've seen it along the way. Like, you've got an amazing show as well. Where you bring people in on, exactly the day to day of what you do and everything like that. It really is awesome, and it shows that you're not just coaching people, you're actually doing the deals right now. You got all these things going on, and whatever the opportunities are, leveraging on investment, whether it's yourself or you're getting with partners in, or just finding the deals as well, because there's a lot of okay deals out there, but you want to get great deals as well that make it work for everything like that as well. So when you're what do you do when you look out for when you're first analyzing real estate deals? Sort of what do you look for there?
Well, the first thing is we typically don't get a great looking house. It needs work. We create the deal by, maybe if it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, but it's, a larger home, we can frame out and add another bathroom in a room, or we could add a 2 rooms sometimes and make it a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for motivation. Somebody that might be in a distressed situation. They might be going through a divorce, or somebody lost their job, or somebody passes away in one of the persons that owned it pass away. So there's not enough income to sustain the property, and it starts getting deferred, maintenance all over the property. So we're always looking like that, but we're very cautious in the way we do our properties and deal with people, because we don't come in there and just think about the house. How much am I going to make? It's a people business, and it's about the people. So when we approach these deals, we approach the people really with kid gloves, meaning we really caress the situation. It's not just about us, it's about them. So we ask them, how can we help you? Because every situation in real estate is different. Some people, they want to stay in the house for a little bit longer so they could gather their belongings, get a place to move, get situated. So we have to kind of pivot and allow them to stay in the house. So we work different facets of getting these deals. Some people just want out right away, so we have to move rather quickly. So that's how we're looking. It starts with motivation. It starts with a problem. It starts with a distressed situation, but also a distressed home that most people on the open market cannot buy, because they don't have the manpower to fix that property. So we'll go in, and what people most people see like ugliness, and there's no way they can fix this. I see money. I look at that and go, whoa, I can make something nice of this, because I'm very creative, and I also have the right people, and I know a lot about construction. And I always tell people, don't ever get in this business until you know your numbers, understand construction, and have somebody that you could partner with that has the money, because the cash offer is always the one that's going to win. And that's basically in a nutshell how we get our deals. And we also send out mailers. We have a phone script that it's kind of like a sales, where we're talking to people that are in these situations that I just mentioned. And also building relationships with real estate agents that are in the business, because they're the boots on the ground. They're the ones that know that we buy the way we buy, and they kind of bring me deals. They know, like, well, this house is not going to sell to a regular, like a retail buyer, so to speak. It needs somebody like Paulie and his group of guys that could come in here and beautify it. And it's just having that knowledge and having the risk factor to where you understand your numbers and you keep that risk down. So I typically, like, let's say a house is worth 300,000 retail, I'm going to try to get that for about 50% of its retail value. There's a formula that we all use, as good investors should. And that formula is very simple. you're buying it for 70% of its after repair value minus whatever it's going to cost you budget wise to fix it. If you could get it right in that area of that number, like that percentage, then you typically should be pretty safe. But I've seen a lot of people, when they don't know construction, they don't have the right people. They might have some people that are not as scrupulous as they are. They might not have the heart and soul and business acumen. And it's very easy to take advantage over the newer people. And look, I had to learn these lessons too, growing into this business and growing alongside of doing 429 houses. I learned, I made some good investments, and I made some not so good investments. But once you understand the principles on how to buy, and this formula that I talked about, and you get better and better at construction, typically you can be safe, and typically you can make money doing this. So it's just so many avenues that you have to know. Once you understand them, you can dive in and get these deals, but it takes a lot of work. People you see on the internet now, everybody makes it look easy. This is not easy. This is not for the faint of heart. I mean, and you're a businessman. Nothing is easy in business. There's always something that comes up. There's always a story behind the story.
Yeah, definitely. So much amazing value there, Paulie, and yeah, completely agree with all of that. And really understanding your market and the numbers and like that is so important in whatever you do in business. And in this real estate example, really, really important. And and this is why, having people around you, like coaches and mentors, somebody like yourself, right, where instead of somebody trying to do their first deals and really bombing out and potentially losing a lot of money, it's like, well, they can come to Paulie and say, hey, Paulie, can you help me? Can you coach me, mentor me, whatever it is, to do this? And then that way they can get off the ground a lot quicker, and everything like that. So it's it's really important to do that as well.
My job is to collapse time for my students, just like JT, my coach, collapsed time for me. He taught me how to brand, market, and be a businessman. You got to remember, I came from humble beginnings. No one ever taught me how to be a businessman. Obviously, I learned by watching and doing and creating and testing and all the things that we all do as entrepreneurs. But I cannot stress enough on how important it is to have a coach and have somebody that been there and done that and can really steer you in the right direction when you're going down the wrong path. More importantly, when you're going down the wrong path is when you really need the coach to say, whoa, son, don't go that way. You need to go this way, and let me tell you why. So you're right. I mean, it's just that's the important thing. And I think a lot of times now you look on social media and everybody makes all this stuff look easy. And really, to be honest with you, my journey has been a long journey. I didn't become a millionaire overnight. I struggled to get to where I am. Like I said, I made some really good investments, and then I made some not so good investments in the realm of me growing as a real estate entrepreneur. And having the coach was key for me to unlock what I needed to do to get to those levels as I kept going. And I'm not even nowhere near. Look, I'm a humble guy. Like anybody who knows me knows I'm not even close to where I want to be. I never tell people what I'm worth, and I don't do pictures in front of my cars in my house and all that stuff. The only thing I do for branding is I'll take pictures of the houses some of the houses I'm doing, not all of them, because it becomes braggadocious after. Like if I'm standing in front of every house I do, it's like people get fed up of it too. You know what I mean? But I try to inspire by showing people, look, there's still deals out there. If you know what you're doing, look what we're doing. And it's never coming from a braggadocious way. Trust me. I still have the same friends I grew up with, and they're not doing much in their life. I love them. they're great people, but they grew up there, they stayed there, they got married there, they got divorced there. And, like they didn't leave our small little poor town. And I did. And I've seen a lot of the world. And I met people like yourself that are hard charging entrepreneurs, people like JT and Bruce Buffer and George Ross and all of these people that I got to learn from. And it's just such a blessing and a privilege. And I'll never take that for granted. I don't care how much money I make. I don't even go to title company. Like when I sell a property, I don't even go. I don't want to see my checks and all that stuff. I don't want to get like rich in my mind. I want to always be poor in my mind. I never want to be satisfied, and that's why I'm the way I am. I don't forget where I come from, ever. And I urge anyone listening to this to adopt that, because I think once you start making, especially you start doing deals and making substantial money, it's very easy to just sit on your wins. And it's not always a win in business, any type of business, especially real estate.
Yeah, so many amazing points, and yeah, completely agree with you. On the coaching mentoring side, it's JT with me and other coaches and mentors that I've had. It's just unlock the things. They show you blind spots and say this is the path you need to take. Instead of taking 3, 5, 10 years, it could take you 1 year to get there, and not having the failures along the way. And I loved what you said about not being satisfied. And I think that the key thing when you're an entrepreneur is to not be like wanting to just get the result. Don't be addicted to the result. Be addicted to the process. Be addicted to the journey, the growth and everything like that you do along the way. So it's always about, how do I keep growing? How do I keep doing those things? Yes, you want to celebrate your wins as you go, like, oh yeah, awesome, did this deal or whatever it is. But it's always about, okay, how can I continue to grow? And that's what fuels us as entrepreneurs to continue to do that. So that's really, I think, a key, point there. And it's interesting now, I guess, with the market, there's a lot of uncertainty. Even the election now has just happened, and likely, depending on recounts, is going down a certain path, and that's going to be changing things, because I know there's a lot of tax things that are happening like that as well. So is there certain types of deals that you're going to be focusing more on now, like based on what's happening in the market?
I'm not sophisticated enough to know all that. I know a lot of bigger companies and these like big hedge funds, they're more afraid than, like, let's say a person like me. I've never been afraid. You got to remember, I used to walk into a ring and I used to fight people, and that's when you're afraid. When I'm buying property and all that, when you know how to buy and your numbers and what you could sell that property for after you're done with all the fixing and repositioning of that property, I don't really get scared anymore. And, I'm a type of guy that, I don't care who's in office. Obviously I have my preference, I'm more conservative person. I don't, like I said, I don't even, like, I don't go out. Like, I work, I come home with my family. That's it. So I'm a very conservative guy, and, I'm very disciplined, but I'm one of those guys that, because I could function in any, if it's a high market or a low market or a steady market, I know how to buy. So I never am worried. As far as tax shelters, when you're an entrepreneur, there's always a way to shelter your money. You just have to be smart, have coaches like you had mentioned. And I'm constantly asking JT, what should I do? And, sometimes you don't want to hear what your coach tells you, but having that makes me feel important. Having that kind of stuff makes me feel like, hey, I'm not alone.
Yeah.
I'm not scared, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And you're right. Like, it's, I remember going to JT's house and getting on the hot seat, so to speak, and getting coached by him. And it's tough.
I've been there too.
It's tough coaching the first time, right? Like, he drills into you. And And I think, no matter who the coach is, whether it's JT or anybody else, and you really do want someone that gives you the honest truth, and you got to be open to that. Don't let your ego, don't let your emotions take over. Go, listen, this person is a lot more successful than me. They, have a lot more knowledge behind them to know what's best. Don't be, in love with your potential business idea or whatever that is, right? Because in business, nothing stays the same all the time. Just because your business is like it is today, it's not going to be the same in 10 years, right? There's going to be so many changes in markets. Whatever that is, you're going to need to pivot. Like so many businesses have had to pivot in the pandemic times. There's going to be always things that pop up. New competition comes in. Could be a variety of things. So you need to be able to do that, and that's where the coaches help. It's like, okay, this is happening now. This is what you need to do. Or that's not a good idea because of X, Y, Z. This is what you should focus on instead. Whatever that is, so important. All of that.
Well, that's why you're very coachable. I'm very coachable. I never walk into a room and think, I'm like the smart guy around there. I guess maybe it's because of the way I grew up. I don't know, but I've always been coachable. And no matter how much I make or done in my career as an entrepreneur, especially in the real estate field, I'm not satisfied. I'm just not. I'm not. I don't know if I ever will be. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. But one thing I know is I'm not insecure. So I don't need somebody. I'm not scared if somebody's telling me you need to do this or you need to do that. If he's more successful, best know that I'm gonna actually do it, especially if someone's doing it before me or better than me. It's not a macho thing. I don't, what, when I was in the ring, that's when you have to be prepared that way. And then after I was done with the fight, I loved the guy. I would tell my opponent, I would say, bro, that was a great fight.
Yeah, no, I love that.
I have no idea what my phone's doing.
That's all right, Paulie. We just roll with it. That you never know what's going to pop up in business and life. We just roll with things. So it's all good. We're making it happen. And I guess just touching a little bit more on, you talked about the percentages there, right? With the 70% there, with the gaps and everything like that, with the numbers. And obviously you're going into places that need a lot of work, right? And obviously you're doing enhancements, right? To lift the property value. So what enhancements, provide, I guess, the best value for money for when wanting to increase the property value?
That's a great question. Definitely when you do kitchens and bathrooms, when you do that type of stuff into a house, you're going to get a big bang for your buck. It's going to come back. Also, the biggest one is putting on a patio, a deck on the back of your house, especially if you live in a nicer, warmer climate. Most people want to be able to utilize that. And it's not something that's expensive to do, so you'll get all your money back. And then, like I mentioned earlier when we first started this podcast, it's taking a house that might be, a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, and changing it into a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. You're creating a better functional home for a family, and that's what people sometimes neglect to see. And that's the thing that I'm always looking for. Sometimes I'll even take a garage area and I'll convert it into a master suite with a bathroom, because a lot of people typically don't even park in their garage, but they definitely rather have the garage be converted into a living space and or another bathroom or something. So those are the things on what I teach on how to create a deal. Because right now it's getting harder and harder to find the deals. I think you understand that too. A lot of your viewers probably understand that. And right now we have to think differently. We're creative more. Back when there was a lot of foreclosures and there was a lot of inventory, when that inventory was there, that inventory, I could snag a lot more homes It was still hard, but it was a lot easier than it is now. Now it's thinking this way, the way I just said, like, how do I enhance? What do I put in here? Do I do an addition only in areas that it's worth doing an addition to do an addition on a home where you add square footage to a home? Typically, as a house flipper and a real estate investor, we want to get in and get out fast. So we don't want to do builds and all that stuff. Building is something separate, which I'm pretty good at myself, but it's not my favorite thing to do because it takes longer. You have to pull permits, you have to go to the city, you have to do blueprints, you got to go to the architect. With flipping homes, you can do it on a piece of paper, talk to your crew and go, let's add a bathroom right here, let's add another room here, and they'll understand it. But when you're building a home, you actually have to have the blueprint. So it typically takes a lot longer. Can you make more money off a new home build? Absolutely. But you could also lose if you don't buy the land right, you don't have the proper, skills, like having a contractor that actually knows what he's doing. Now, myself, I'm a contractor, but a lot of times I use a contractor to build my properties. I use a contractor to actually build my property, because I can't build in Florida, even though I get good deals on land in Florida. So I had to build a relationship with a contractor that charges me more to build it so he could make a profit, but there's still enough profit for me to make money on a new home build. But that's why I like the flips a lot better. I get in, get out, get my money. I mean, typically it takes less than 6 months to get your money from the time you buy it to the time you flip it and fix it, to the time you sell it, to the time the new buyer gets their financing and they move in. So that's why I enjoy the flipping process better than the building process.
Yeah, so many amazing points there, Paulie, and I love it's the creativity focus in the deals, and whether or not that's real estate deals, whether or not that's other business deals that you're doing stuff with, whether it's with companies, whether it's just doing partnership deals and everything like that. I think it's all about being creative these days, because there's an old school way of doing things. It's like, oh, you just sign this and it's for a service. It's like, no, how can we extract more value? How can we make it more enticing for everybody, that they enjoy types of things like that? So it's really getting your head out, and that's where just touching back on the business coach as a mentor sometimes is that if you don't know how to be creative in the deal, you need to look for somebody else to give you that knowledge and saying, have you thought about doing it this way? You're like, oh, actually, I haven't thought about doing it that way. That's a really good thing. And then you start to go, okay, and then the more you do that, and that's why it is so important. And then, like what you mentioned as well about relationships, right? Like you just talked about, this guy in Florida that you're doing this stuff with, and obviously JT and stuff. So, how important is building relationships in business, and what has it helped you to achieve?
That's a great question, and it's a loaded one. Honestly, without relationships, you'll never get bigger, you'll never grow, you'll never expand. Just doing deals with JT has taught me, so much about like getting to the next level and being pushed, and having that relationship with someone that, has a lot more money than I do. And you could go in and do bigger deals because now you feel like more confident. Same thing with like having this builder, like I just mentioned here in Florida. It makes me feel like I can buy a broader, I could do more deals. I could be broad. Like when someone brings me a land deal, or I get a land deal from my mailers, or I talk to somebody that had a piece of land, they were going to build their dream home and they're getting a divorce. They have to sell that piece of land. Typically before I built a relationship with this guy, I would think about maybe just wholesaling it and just making 10, 15 grand. Now, instead of wholesaling it, I'll probably make 200,000, and those are the things on how important relationships are, because you even start thinking differently. You literally start thinking differently. And the more relationships you have, they start empowering you too. They give back to you and start saying, well, like you said earlier, and I agree with you 100%. It's like, did you ever think of doing this? And I'm like, no, because I'm too far into my own business. And sometimes you don't think, and you get used to doing things your way and the way you've always done it. And I think the more relationships you build, the more you think like some other of the relationship that you're building with. They'll tell you a different way. And I'm like, wow, I never thought of that. You know, I built a relationship with a guy in Nashville, Tennessee, many years ago, and he needed my help. He ended up buying a piece of land on 17 acres. And he brought me in on a deal to build 40 brand new homes now. So we're actually building 40 homes because I took care of him and built a relationship with him 7.5 years ago. So it gives you a more broad place to play in real estate or any business. So relationships are the key. And also too, when you're building relationships, don't be the taker. Don't always be the taker. Be the giver. Help them, create value for them. And I think a lot of people sometimes forget about that too. It's like, it's always what's in it for me. I don't look at my relationships that way. I look at relationships like, how can I add value to you? And then in turn, how is that value coming back to me? And that's how you build the best relationships.
Yeah, definitely. So many amazing points, and completely agree with all of those. And like you said, that last point about giving value back. Like I had someone last night, JT, linked me to this lady, and she was, talking about this business idea in the waste management area that I have experience in. And I was just on there, and it was just a call, and and I went in. I just went, these are all the solutions that you can do, and it blew her mind, in terms of what it's there. And yes, if people want to go down a further path, you can do coaching and mentoring with them and stuff like that. But that initial thing of helping each other, or saying, okay, well, what can you do? Oh, wait a minute, I've got these contacts, or I've got these services. We can put these things together and work in the process. So it's it's so motivating, invigorating when you do help those people that way, and people notice that as well when you do that. So it's very interesting how that all works. Seem to have lost your video, Paulie, but I'll keep going.
Keep going, buddy. I'll be right back there.
Exactly. That's it. We'll just have a quick break now. It's all good. I'll keep going. And, it's, when you're building these things with these high level relationships and you're building with people, it's like, be open. Like when you're going to events, I think as well, right? Like a big one for me was when I went to Mega Success, right? And JT's event. You've got, 2,500 of the top entrepreneurs in the world from over I think it was 87 countries or something. And, being in that room now, what is the type of person that you're going to be? There are so many people that go to these events, whether it's that big of an event, whether it's a small event with 10, 20 people, 50, 100 people, right? It doesn't matter, anywhere in between. Do you go there and just go to the event, learn the content, potentially write notes and stuff, and that's it? Or do you go there going, hey, I'm going to actually network with people, see if I can build some relationships and see where it goes from there? And going in with that mindset, when you meet new people in whatever context it is, whether it's at events or whether it's, through other people, is really important as well, because then that translates into, how, you can, attract, I guess, those relationships as well into your life.
I can't stress enough on how important it is to plug in, so to speak. Go to events, go to where people have the same like-mindedness. They might not even be in your business per se. They might not be in real estate or marketing or, restaurant business, but they're the same because we're entrepreneurs. Let's be honest. And this 100%, my friend. You go to these events, you meet people like you, and then you go home to the regular world. And most people are not like an entrepreneur. They're not like us. And so they look at us a little different. They're like, why isn't he why does he need more? Why is he always working? Why is he so passionate? Why is he energetic? Why is he so giving? Why? And they don't get it. They don't get it. So it's so important to plug in these type of events and do millionaire like second level and be a part of a community where you literally, when you have a bad day and as an entrepreneur, you can plug back in and get that energy back. That don't worry about it will help you solve the problem. And I don't think regular people do that. And I'm not saying they're bad. Like, people always think, well, entrepreneurs, they always want. Look, I'm not saying I'm better than anybody. I'm just saying I want to hang out with people that think like me, because the regular people don't think like me. They just don't. Now, listen, I'll go to a nice restaurant with them. We'll have fun. I'll tell some jokes. They'll tell some jokes. That's fine. But I can't have the conversations that you and I are having here unless I plug into a family, so to speak, of entrepreneurs that know what I'm going through when it's not always peaches and cream, so to speak. So it's so important, man. I'm so glad you brought that up. I mean, that's why you're successful, because you're very coachable. You're always there. You're asking questions. You're learning. You're branding. You're positioning yourself. You're, like this is a great interview. You're asking great questions. You're bringing up super entrepreneurial questions, and a lot of people listening will get a lot out of this, and that's why we do it. That's why we do it. I don't do everything for money. I trust me, anybody who knows me, I don't do everything that in my life for money. I love sharing. I love giving. Sometimes even JT gets mad. It's like, you're too good of a guy. But I get it, because sometimes when you give it away for free, no one appreciates it, or some people don't. But entrepreneurs, they do. They do. And they take what you've been through and your knowledge and committing to a good group. And it does help them grow. It helps them grow.
Yeah. So many, amazing points there, Paulie. And you're right. Like the proximity of the people that you hang around, like, I think, they say, 1/5 of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? And like you mentioned before, that you love your school friends and everything like that, but they're stuck in their own ways, right? What I mean? And you wouldn't be where you are if you still stuck around them. And it was a bit like me. I guess got a bit of a blessing in some respect, where my previous company wanted me to move from smaller Adelaide, where I grew up, to Sydney. And then, when I moved there, I had a couple of cousins, didn't really have many people, but it got me out of that comfort zone area, so to speak, to then, having to build new relationships and everything like that. And then now it's even more interesting in this pandemic world, because at certain, months of the year, you weren't allowed to see people, basically, right? So it changed to a online game of connecting with people, right? On Zooms, on big things, and, being in, group coaching calls and other, groups and stuff like that. And that's where it's actually, I think, become a massive opportunity to be able to grow and connect. I think it's actually opened up the world a lot more. I see it as an opportunistic, bigger time right now in those ways. Yeah.
Well, because you're an entrepreneur, did you see what you just said? You created an opportunity, and that's how you think, my brother. That's how you think, and that's how I think. And you need to be around people like that, because if you told somebody that you grew up with, which I know, and listen, man, I love my brothers. I love my friends. I love my people that I know. But they don't understand when I talk like what you just said. Opportunity, they're moping and they're all mad and frustrated. And me and you and people like us just keep going. Yes, there's hardships. Yes, but you found a way to use it as an opportunity. And like I said earlier, I didn't stop. I just kept going, and I pivot, and I figure it out. And I think that's what people will get out of hearing this interview with us, is that no matter how hard it gets, no matter what they go through, no matter a pandemic, no pandemic, divorce, something happens, you still have to pick up your your pants in the morning and get out there and figure it out. And that's why you are successful, because you figured it out. And not only figured it out, but you look at it, you pivoted so well that you were able to create more out of something that most people would sit at home going, this is not working for me. I'm not going to make no money. My life is going to end. This sucks. We better sell everything and panic. We don't panic. We calm ourselves down and find a solution for every problem. And that's what we do, you know?
Definitely. So many amazing points there, Paulie. And just, yeah, I'm not even going to add anything to that. That was just an amazing spiel there. I loved it. And definitely, yeah. And I think everybody needs to listen to that bit again. You know, if they, you know, it's so amazing. And that's really the mentality that you need to have. And, you know, we connected at Mega Success, you know, where you lit up the stage with your presence and personality. And I still remember your boxing skills with Dolph Lundgren on stage. That was amazing.
And saw that, man. He goes, "You're fast, bro." I said, "You should have saw me when I was young and skinny. Now I'm a little chubby." I like my sweets.
That's right. And, you know, you obviously, you've done well over the, you know, being with JT for many years, and, you know, you got yourself on that stage and everything like that. And you took that opportunity, you know, like you said, about doing that to then give you that differentiation, that bit of branding and everything else. And, you know, you have a wealth of knowledge in business and real estate, and always go over and above, you know, to get deals over the line and help others in need. So, you know, I'm very grateful that we connected, and, you know, I look forward to working with you in the future as well.
And likewise, buddy, likewise. And yeah, all that stuff on stage and all that, it's all good. But I never would be there without my coach, without JT. It never would have happened. I'd never be a speaker. I would be an entrepreneur, obviously, because that's what I was doing. But I definitely wouldn't be this entrepreneur. And I definitely wouldn't have the extracurricular stuff that I was able to build around that. And I think, you know, every entrepreneur has to think that way. And I didn't. I'll be honest, I didn't until I got my coach that made me reposition the way I thought about business. Because yes, I was good at certain things, but how do you get to the next level? And how do you get to speak and coach and you know, like position yourself and market yourself and brand yourself? And really, that is all I attest all that success really to JT. It really wasn't me. And I'm very humble to say that. I'll always say it. I'll never, like I said, I'll never walk into a room and act like that was me. It was him. Yeah, I got prepared. And sometimes, I'll be honest, man, going up on stage, talking in front of 5,000, 10,000, 20, 2,500 at Mega Success. I think it was about 23, 2,500, something like that. It takes some nerve to do it, you know, I'll be honest. But you know what? When you're prepared and you have great coaching, you could do it. Anybody out here listening to this, they should be up on that stage too. And you probably be on there next year. If there's ever a Mega Success and this pandemic ends, you know.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Yeah, I love that. And yeah, you definitely hit the nail on the head with, you know, help people that help us along the way, and really noticing that. And it was I'd been on stage maybe once, like at a small thing for a work thing once, like many, many years ago, but I went to Mega Success last year, and I got on that stage as well. Right. And it's interesting because I have the mindset, and I went in and I was just like, you know, pre-framed myself. You know, I'm going to kill it. I'm going to, you know, all my words are going to be out. I'm going to act as if I'm there with whoever I'm on stage with. And, you know, and that's what happened. Right. And that's the mentality. And unfortunately, some people don't do that to themselves. And you can see them, you know, tripping up a little bit, or they're getting a bit overwhelmed because they might be around a celebrity or multiple celebrities and things like that. It's like, these are just normal people. Right. And if you go out there with confidence, make yourself excited, whatever works for you, but go in there knowing that, you know, you're going to have an awesome time on that stage, whether it's for a few minutes, whether it's for 10 minutes, an hour, whatever, you know, time that you get. And that way you're really going to, you know, take yourself to that next level. And I definitely, like you said, you know, tell everyone to get on stages like that, whether it's mega success, whether it's smaller stages, whatever it is, get yourself, build that confidence, and it helps to position you, obviously, as in the branding sense, as someone that's more of an authority, everything like that as well.
So true. Yeah. I mean, that helps your branding, your marketing, when you're trying to get in front of people and you have those type of photo ops or interviews you've done or speeches you've done, it does help you position, because you want to separate yourself from the competition. That's a great way to do it. I mean, I made mistakes on stages too. I was in Edmonton. I bombed, and JT was there to catch me. I bombed in Vancouver, Canada, and he caught me. In Toronto, I bombed in Toronto. Like, people think, they see it. Sometimes I'm good, sometimes I'm not so good, but it's just, at least I did it. And I want people to hear that. At least I went up there and I did it. And, the more you do it, the better you get at it, as and you were prepared when you got up there, Mega, like you had it all. You were just spitting it out. You were bang, 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 so, and that's what it's really about. You have to be prepared. And sometimes even when you're prepared, you bomb. I was prepared in Edmonton, but boy, I don't know like you sometimes freeze, and I'm a type of guy that I could talk for hours, no problem. But sometimes when you're talking about a specific thing, you have to really, it's got to be internalized. So that's the way to do it.
That's it. I love it. And we just keep going no matter what, Paulie, like you said. So, thank you very much for your time today, Paulie. I'm sure many people have greatly benefited from your valuable wisdom. So how can people find you and get in contact with you?
Just Facebook, Facebook, Instagram, Paul Kazanofski, Paul. And then Kazanofski. It's one of those long ones. It'll come up. And the people butcher our last names all the time, But I always accept, unless I think it's a fake profile or something. But I accept if you want to ask me any questions about anything, business, real estate. I'm always there to help.
Yeah, love it. So, thank you everyone for watching and listening to this show where we talk about everything on business growth. You can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram as Athin Cassiotis, or visit my website, athincassiotis.com. I completely agree with you, or do I? The only way you know is if you tune in next time. So until next time, remember that our business grows when we learn skills and take action using them in spite of fear. Have a great day.